Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. As you can see right there, the headlight is lit up on this thing. I have put the battery jump pack on it, and what I'm doing now is I'm checking to see if we have spark. We already know we have compression, so that's a good thing. We have a recoil starter, so that's one way to turn it over. We know that the electric starter seems to be having trouble turning it over against compression, but it does seem to do okay otherwise. So now I need spark, then we install the carburetor, and we're ready to go. By the end of this video, this thing should hopefully be running, and we should try to get a ride out of it, or it will not be, and I could stop fussing about with it. At this point also, I have $50 into the purchase, and I put another $25 into the carb. So at this point, this is a $75 Kawasaki Bayou 220. So let's see if we have spark. The key is on. I tried the push button starter, and it does not work. But given that I have lights, I'm hoping that the ignition system is powered up enough to spark, and that'll save me having to put jump packs on it and so forth like that. So hopefully I'm going to be able to show this to you. And hopefully you guys were able to see a spark, and that's a very good sign. Now it's just a matter of getting the carburetor onto this thing and trickling a little gas into it, and we'll see what it sounds like. It has a lot of compression, especially only for a 220, so I'm hoping it doesn't burn oil. What's weird about this thing is it came full of oil, and these things don't have a dipstick for checking it. You just gotta kind of look at that little sight glass here that I'm showing you, hopefully. This little sight glass. But as near as I can tell, it's full of oil, and the oil looks good. It looks nice and clean, so which is great. I think this thing, the reason why it ended up in the junkyard is it sat around, the gas went nasty, and once the gas went nasty, they took the carb off and started to mess with that, and you know, the compression release was stuck, so I'm wondering if they didn't go like, oh, this boat anchor doesn't have any compression, time to push it over the side, and it ended up in the junkyard. So you always wonder when you're working on these things what happened, that somebody decided to junk it, and that's what I'm thinking happened. But until it started and we take it for a ride, we won't know. So what you're looking at here is my replacement carburetor. They sell these between, I don't know, 15 and 20 bucks on eBay. Copy them Cooney. I'm taking the choke plate out. Pay attention. There is a spring and all here. You really rather not lose that. This is the little plug, so to speak. When you turn the choke off, it closes the additional passages that richen up your mixture. This is the top. Once again, spring. Very easy to fire it across the room. And there's I call it the throttle slide. When you put this thing back together, just make note, I'm going to mention it here, I'm going to mention it a few times, because if you don't do it right, you could go for the ride of your life. See this little incline here? And you got a slit there. Make sure you put the incline toward your idle adjustment. If you don't, if you put it in upside down, a lot of these will go together. This one won't, but a lot of them will go together, and your throttle slide doesn't go all the way down, and the quad, should it start, will take off very, very quickly, and you'll be going for the ride of your life. Also, if you're trying to put it together, like it slid part way in, but if you look through, right, hopefully you can kind of, you know, see that the throttle is wide open. I think I'm showing it. Yeah, there you go, right? You can see the throttle's wide open. So, I mean, that obviously isn't good. You want to make sure that, once again, your incline here and your idle adjustment are on the same thing. And you also want to take a look in. Once again, make sure it closes all the way. If not, bad surprises could happen. The Bayou uses what I call a double cable choke, or double cable carburetor, one for the choke, one for the throttle. And this is the one that was left behind, so to speak. This is leftover. I've, by the way, oiled the cable to make sure that it moves. Right. And the throttle also. There it is. I knew it was there somewhere. Not cooperating. Doesn't want to be seen today. Well, you can see it right there. And if I move the throttle, right, you can see the end of it moving in and out. What's also interesting about that little brass end of the choke is it's different than the original one that came with it. To change it, you just kind of pull the spring back with your fingers, and it's going to take both my hands, and I'm not going to be able to get a good camera angle. And you see the cable eyelet in the hole? This one would slide off, and the new one would slide on, and then the spring sets right in there. I'm not sure if this piece, the plastic piece, will go into the carburetor. It does not appear so. So, oh yes, or maybe it will. It will. So, I'm not quite sure why, but I have a tendency to use the ends that are already there. I guess they normally agree with the cables better. The cables are already mated to them, and they're already working properly and so forth. I already know, because I tried it, the cap that comes with the bike fits, is an exact fit. So it's just a matter of putting the slide onto this cable. By the way you do that, I was asked this question. You easier if this cooperated. You put the spring on first, right? Spring all the way on, and you compress it. And let me get the spring out of here. You compress the spring, and you slide this end through, and you just hook it on. Now the spring goes in there, and this is right on there. Once again, it's kind of tight here. I'm not going to be able to get a good camera angle on it, so I'll show you when it's done. So here we are, the slide is installed, and you guys can see it moves when I move the cable. And I installed, I'm going to call it the plunger, right, and we can see that moves nicely also. This returns nicely, the throttle returns nicely. Now when I slide that into the carburetor, I'm also going to want to make sure that this comes all the way down and seats. If not, once again, you start it up, it can take right off on you. I'm also going to slide this down, make sure it seats. I'm also going to make sure that when I open it up, that it slides all the way up properly. If not, you don't get the choke action you think you're going to get. So there we go. It seems to work properly. All right. Okay, tubers, I got the carburetor on. It turns out I did have to go to the metal version of this, the right version of this. I'm not quite sure why. I couldn't get the thread started here. I'm not sure if the plunger didn't find its way all the way back into the casing or what the story was. When it gave me some trouble, I just went back. I just used the one I should have been using, right? So where are we? I poured gas into here. I think you can kind of see it. And if I turn this on, the headlight is on, jump pack is on, cold start, right? You can still see I have oil spilled all over it. Generally speaking, my experience with quads and the new China carbs and all, either they start or you got a battle in front of you. Most of the time they do start fairly easily. I just want to set it up so that you guys can actually kind of see something. And I kind of want it so I could just reach right out and grab the camera again. So my headlight's on, that means the jump pack is on. Gas, choke, pull string. That's always a good sign. Let's see if it goes into gear. Let's start out with reverse first. Not only did it go into gear, but the light lit up. Okay. That should be neutral. Wow. So now it's just kind of a matter of it actually sounds good. I think even the oh, it's even charging the battery. Nice. see those are pretty bright. Yeah, the headlight's pretty bright. It's even charging the battery. I do have a little smoke here. But considering I dumped oil into the cylinder and so forth, actually this is pretty cool. I like it. So I can blow smoke rings. She's out of gas. I don't know, I like it. What do you guys think? Next time you see it, we'll get it out for a ride. I don't know. I'll try to fudge some kind of seat onto it. A seat through eBay is a little over $100, call it 100 and a quarter, right? So if I have 75 into this and I spend 100 and a quarter on the seat, I'll have $200 invested. I don't know, is it a $200 quad? Something you can just walk up to, pull the string, start, goes forward and reverse, has 3 out of 4 lights. I don't know. It should be, yeah, I only have one headlight. Old one on. Yeah, it just ran out of gas. Seems to be charging the battery. I don't know, I like it. You guys like it? Let me know what you think. Keep the comments coming. I want to thank everybody for dropping by to watch, comment, subscribe. Remember, feet down, heads up. Go to the junkyard, find yourself a quad, rescue it from the scrap heap and see if you can't get it running. Bye now.